I'm gonna hit record here. All right, cool. So, what's going on, everybody? I'm joined here by Dr. Adam Robin, and he is a physical therapist by nature, but also runs a coaching practice as well as runs clinics himself. And he and I connected on LinkedIn, and we want to just have a chat today about what he's currently doing, how he's gotten to where he is, from where he started out as a physical therapist to where he is now. So, good to see you, Adam.
Good to see you, man. Good morning.
Good morning. So, just to kind of start off, I always like to hear about, what got you started in this career. Why'd you become a physical therapist in the first place? What kind of made you fall in love with the profession and think like this is
Mm,
what I want to do with my life?
that's a great yeah, it's a great question. So it all started back. So I grew up really into sports, right? Like I was a pretty athletic kid. Played football, ran track. I was like the fastest kid in elementary school, and always won the hide and seek games. I was undefeated in tag. So I kind of naturally fell in love with performance, like human performance, you know, and movement, strength, speed, agility, flexibility, mobility. And so I think that led me, that's the thing that kind of got me into health and fitness. I ended up, I played some football in high school and I wasn't half bad. I ended up getting a little scholarship at a community college to play football, and I injured my shoulder. And ended up having to have a little scope done. Had some experience with physical therapy, and that's kind of what opened my eyes to physical therapy. I was like, man, this is kind of cool, right? So through that, I became just obsessed with like helping people. I'm like, man, if we can just help people move better, they'll feel better, and like life will be better.
Yeah,
Like I'm gonna freaking go on this mission to help people move better, right? And so
absolutely.
that kind of right. So that's kind of what got me into that. So I found physical therapy and then quickly like found a passion for business. My dad was an entrepreneur. He's a plumber, blue collar guy,
Yeah.
like dropped out of high school, hard worker. So I was always like riding around with him during the summers with my plumbing shirt on with a little name tag, you know?
Yeah,
So I knew how to grind, I knew how to work, and um, opened up my first business, opened up my first clinic after 2 years of graduating, and then quickly realized like I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. What I did know how to do was what my dad taught me, which was work really hard
yeah.
and like no excuses, get up early, work late. I knew how to do that. I had that box checked, but that got me only so far. Then I actually started attracting some patients to me, built a small team, and then I got consumed by the business. Like the complexity of the administrative burden, like payroll, hiring, firing, policy, procedure, putting out fires, like all the things that became super overwhelming. I was waking up really early, missing my kids in the morning, working until late in the evening, missing my kids at night.
Mhm.
And then I realized like, okay, I got to get some help,
Yeah.
got to get some help. So I started doing some Googling and some LinkedIn searches, and I found a few guys. And I ran into a guy named Nathan Shields, who he was like, "Man, if you pay me some money, I probably can help you fix your business." And I was like, "What?" I didn't really fully believe it, but I knew like I couldn't keep doing what I was doing, you
Yeah.
know? So I wrote the check, and that's when everything changed, man. Like I just actually acquired some skills. I applied my hustle to acquiring different types of skills. And then like I started gaining leverage in the business, started making more money, getting my time back. And then like I was like, man, this is really cool. So now my passion is like helping business owners do the same thing.
How when you wrote that check, because I know I spoke to another gentleman who was doing something similar. I mean, you started definitely early going into the business side. I feel like the typical route is probably maybe at least 5 years of,
Yeah.
working as a PT, maybe 10 years, and then you start to feel that cap and you're like, all right, I can do this myself. But when you wrote that check, I know you said you know that you had to do it, but was there that like fear of like, what did I just do? Because I feel like that tends to happen with a lot of business owners. They're like, whoa, like that was probably the biggest check I've ever written for like a coaching and business reasons other than like, acquiring equipment and things like that. What was that feeling like for you?
So great question. So I'm a naturally restless person. I'm a little bit high anxiety, and I'm always like, I feel like I gotta move forward. Like I'm just like a
Hmm.
strong visionary mind. Like the idea of not moving forward with something is crippling to me. Like I can't sleep at night. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
So I think that drive and that just internal I have to move forward with something is the thing that ultimately pushed me forward. But I was terrified. Was freaking terrified because I
Yeah.
didn't know. Because I was thinking like, who's this guy Nathan? He's not going to outwork me. I know he's not going to outwork me. So like, how is he going to help me? I'm going to outwork him. So I had doubts about it, and but what I ultimately feared was regret. That was the
Mhm.
the, the ultimate thing. I was at my breaking point. And I knew it. Like my health was deteriorating, man. Like it was just not a good situation. So I kind of just got to the point where I was like, man, if I don't do something, I know I'm gonna die. You know what I mean? So like, I was at my rock bottom. So I feared regret more than I feared failure. I was like, take the money. Something's got to change, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, it's
And
like that fear of inaction is greater than like whatever else you could possibly be doing. And, that motivated you to say, well, I can either do nothing and stay where I am, or I could cut this check. I can see if it works. And I feel like the entrepreneur was in the like, all right, if it's the worst, however many thousands of dollars I ever spent, I can always get the money back. Right.
well, I mean, yeah, I mean, so like my dad, like blue collar,
Yeah.
the guy that's like, turn the lights off, like
Yeah.
save your money,
Yeah.
save for college, save your money, like, so that's the advice I always had growing up. I didn't
Hmm.
know about invest your money into a coach. Like that was like, what was that? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know what
Like
I
just
mean? You
figure it out
save your
yourself.
money,
Yeah.
you know? So
Yeah.
like everything inside of me didn't like my brain didn't register. Like I had to fight myself. But I ended up calling one of my friends. His name is Dustin Thibodeau, and he was a health and fitness guy. And he was actually also a coach.
Hmm.
He had like an online fitness company that he was helping people get in shape. And he
Yep.
had hired a few coaches. So he was the first person I called. And I was like, man, should I hire a coach? And he was like, absolutely. He's like, hire a coach. He's like, dude, the worst thing that's going to happen, even if it's a bad experience, the things that you learn from that experience are going to be worth its weight in gold. Like you're going to get an
Yeah.
ROI on that.
Hmm.
And that kind of put it in that kind of helped me put things into perspective. It's like the worst thing that I'm going to do is learn something, you know? And yeah, thank God I did. So,
I think it's funny too because you mentioned your athletic background. That's my background as well. I was an athlete my whole life, played Division I soccer, got into the space that I'm in now, working with clinicians because of my injury. Right, tore my ACL at
yeah.
sophomore year of college. Really, I didn't become a PT. I actually almost went into like a health sciences major, but then was like, maybe not sophomore year, switch over major might not be the best thing. So I stayed with my path, but as an athlete, you always had a coach. And then even when you had a coach, you probably had some like, I mean, I know me personally, I don't want to speak for everyone, but the way I got better was hiring another coach outside of maybe like a dribbling skills coach or a shooting coach
Mm,
or a strength and conditioning coach outside of just my tactical team coach that I had that was in charge of managing 20 players. I had my one-on-one guy. And I feel like I was able to bring that. I know my experience hiring now at this point, probably four or five coaches in my three and a half year, 4 years of doing this. I was like, well, if I did that when I was an athlete and it got me better and it got me to my goal of playing Division I soccer. What's the difference here? It might just,
yeah.
instead of my parents' money, it's my money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like that's a good thing, something for someone to think about that's maybe sitting there thinking, I'm sick of doing it myself, but I can either save the money and continue to do the same thing, or I can go take a chance on someone else who seems like they can help me. And if they can't, at least I learned from it. Was that kind of
Yeah.
your experience there too? Did you have any of
Totally.
that?
Well, I didn't know it. I just had to trust the process, which is kind of looking back, it's always like, duh, why
Yeah.
wouldn't you do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But one of my I'm like a I like these like little one-liners, these little principles of life, you know?
Yep.
And Nathan always says you can't see the painting if you're in the painting,
Hmm.
right? So it's like you can always see you can see people's blind spots and you can also see people's superpowers and skills better than they can see it for themselves,
Hmm.
right? So that third person perspective is like it's a perspective that you'll never have on yourself ever. You can't have it.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's nice to have people whose their job is to help you understand your blind spots and elevate your skills. And even way cooler if they've done the thing that you want that you want to do already. They've already done the thing and they've helped other people do the thing.
Yeah.
So just being around somebody who can help you see more possibility is it's just super powerful, man. It's just super powerful, you know,
It's almost
because
like
at
you
the
have
end of
those blinders, right?
you have blinders.
You can't see. You're like the racehorse that's going a million miles an hour, but like there's someone screaming like, dude, the track has a puddle in it or it's muddy, or like you can't see it because you're so focused. And the next thing you know, you're getting hurt versus if you're able to work with someone else who can say, hey, listen, here's what I've done in the past. Here's the mistakes I've made. Here's how not to make them.
Yeah,
Like that's worth its weight in gold, especially as a business owner. It's like
100%, dude.
time
And
is your biggest resource.
I love it because business is it's a perform you are performing,
Hmm.
right? Like it is just like you would win the basketball game.
Yeah.
Like you're good at dribbling, you're good at shooting your threes, you make your free throws, you win the game, right? But like you have some skill sets and attributes that are a little different than me. I'm a little taller, you know, maybe I'm under the rim, maybe you're out on the 3-point line, right? But
Yep.
like we're all just trying to score points. And business is the same way, man. Like it is a skill. It is a game to be won. And you only win the game when you get better, right? You got to practice
Yeah.
the skills. You got to learn the skills. You got to learn how to market and sell and build policy and cast vision and hire and recruit and build organizational structure. Like you got to be able to learn those things, get people to align with you. But if you can elevate your skills, you will become a person who can actually make your business work.
Absolutely. I love that.
And
And
that's how a business coach they help you get better, right?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
totally.
So I want to kind of take you back just a little bit to that point of you said you like 2 years in you did this thing, right? Which is like I
Yeah.
said, is pretty uncommon. But did you feel like I feel like a lot of clinicians they hit that like critical point where they're like, I feel like I'm meant for more. And it's very common in the PT space because it's like my income feels capped, I got this doctorate degree, but like I feel like I'm not being paid like a doctor and the whole
Yeah, all that
reimbursement
stuff.
issue, all that stuff. It's kind of like the issues that the industry is facing. But for you, being someone that's done it so quickly, and then maybe speaking to someone who's thinking like year 10 or year 8 or year 5, a little bit longer, being an individual clinician out running a business, like, was it gradual for you? Was it like, all right, or was it there like a moment where you're just like, I can't do this anymore? Like, what was your experience, I guess?
I was a little older getting out of school. So I was 30 when I graduated.
Okay.
I was like the third oldest guy in the class.
Yeah.
And I already had kid. I had been married. So like I had
Yep.
some life experience under my belt. So I
Hmm.
knew like I was kind of like on the mature end
Yeah.
of the career. Does that make sense? So like I was a new grad,
Yeah.
but like I didn't have a new grad life at that point. Like I had built,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that fast tracked me a little bit. And then like my dad being an entrepreneur, I had a little personal training gig, so I knew how to sell a little bit. I had a little bit of skills. I think that kind of I knew I was when I graduated, I knew like I was like, all right, like game on. Like we're gonna figure out how to get a clinic open. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So I think that was just kind of the natural thing that led me to opening the clinic. But if you're not like me and it's maybe taking you a little while to like get to a place where you feel ready, what I have found is whenever you're treating your patients, let's say you're working on somebody's hip, right? You got your elbow in somebody's hip, you're working out
Yep.
some muscle tension or whatever you're doing. But in your mind, you're thinking, man, I wonder how I would market my clinic, right? Like, but in your mind, you're somewhere else thinking about the other thing.
Yeah.
That's when you know that you're probably no longer fully aligned with your true purpose, right? And whenever you continue to live that day every day and you don't step in full alignment, that's when you start getting burnout. That's when you start getting like really frustrated. So like
Yeah.
it's not going to end. It's just going to get worse. So if you have that little thing in your head, that little bug in your ear, my recommendation would be to like seek it out, like start looking around, like get on the call with some people, start listening to the YouTube channels like this, start reading some business books because you'll find it if you start looking for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like, probably everyone has that thought initially of like, all right, well, it would be nice to open a clinic. But when it's like that repetitive, like, you're showing up Monday to Friday and it's just that's all you can think about,
Yeah, yeah,
there's
correct.
probably a reason, right? If it's
Yeah,
once
yeah.
every 6 months and you're like, all right, I don't know if that's the best time to just go
Sure.
jumping in when you've got, $100,000 of student debt, let's say, and you're like,
Yeah.
all right, maybe let me see if this is actually something that I want to go into business for. Because not everyone is not capable, but not everyone wants to be a business owner. It's perfectly
Dude,
okay.
we
There's
can
a
have a
lot
whole con
more. Let's go into that. Let's go
dude,
into that aspect because you see it every day.
it's hard. Dude, it is freaking hard.
Yeah,
It's hard. It's the hardest thing in the world.
absolutely.
Like it's super hard. And you will have to, I mean, you don't have to do anything, but if you want to build a business, like if you want to build like a lifestyle business where you kind of you got some patience and it kind of it's small, it's manageable, and you still treat a lot, and you maybe have a virtual assistant to help you with some admin stuff, like that's not that hard. Like you can do that and it's not going to be terribly demanding on your life. It's
Yeah,
going to be demanding, but it's not going to crush you. But if you want to build a business that's beyond you, something that doesn't require you to actually see all the patients, where you want to like actually build a team and have a marketing strategy and a culture, dude, it is so hard. It
hmm
is going to require sacrifice, tons of it, tons of it. Uh, your priorities will have to shift, and
yeah,
not everyone's willing to give up the things. You know what I mean? It's going to have to be like your religion, your family, then it's like right after that, it's gonna be like it's like business is like right after that. So like your weekends come second, right? Your nights
yeah,
come second. You're more like you're gonna have to really be willing to go all in. And because there's a steep learning curve, and you have to be really good at what you do in order to get people to pay you money for it. You know what I mean?
absolutely. And I think a lot of
So
people think that it's like, they can still have those things that everyone else does, like the weekends and the nights out with friends and all. It's like you have to be willing to sacrifice somewhere. And
you're gonna lose
it's
a
not
decade. You're gonna lose a
religion,
decade.
family, like those two things, whatever's important to you. All right, you have your non-negotiables, but all your free time needs to be spent on that thing. And it's, the
Totally.
person that wants that lifestyle business, that's great, but that's not you. You get someone's going to have to give. There's only 24 hours a day, 7 days in a week, right? The
Yeah.
person that spends, I always like to think about it this way because, I'm running a business myself, right? There's someone out there that's going to do the same thing as me, but is willing to give up those Friday and Saturday nights out and is going to wake up early, get to the gym, and work their entire weekend doing this. If you want to beat them, you have to do that too, and you have to be better at it than them, right? And
It
even if
really
that
is.
person's not out there, you can almost like fake yourself of like, all right, there's someone out there doing it. I have to beat them. And then you wake up in 5 years and you're like, okay, we both made it. Or
Right,
that
right.
person wasn't
Totally,
even
totally.
we person wasn't even real because there's enough patience to go around. But I think that it's how bad do you want it? It's the same thing. And sports are just so great because I think it translates to business so well. Is like you look at all the greatest athletes, the Michael Jordans. I'm a big Kobe Bryant guy, right? Growing up.
Dude, I love it. I was just thinking about him.
Like that, I remember there was one example that I was listening. I forget it was like a podcast or something I was listening to recently. I've heard this story multiple times, but I think it was Team USA, right? And they were showing up to like a session. I think it was LeBron and someone else showing up, and it was like 4:30 in the morning, and they were thinking they were going to walk in and be the first ones in the gym. and Kobe had walked out, having already completed like a shoot around, a lift, and all
Yeah.
this. And they were just in shock. They were like, I thought we were the first one, and he had already done it and been up 2 hours prior working out. But then, like, it's just those are the things that you need to do to be great. Same thing applies in business. I'm not saying you have to be up at 4 a.m. cold calling patients at that time because that doesn't work. But maybe you're up a little bit earlier, working on those things, working on the weekends. Like if
Study, you
you
got to study,
really,
get your
yep,
skills, gotta get your skills
it's the
in,
only way to
man.
get better. And I think that a lot of people think that like they're gonna open the business and all of a sudden patients are just gonna flood in because they have a sign that says, John's physical therapy or Adam's physical therapy, and you know, but 2 miles down the road there's another place. Like no one's gonna suddenly be lining up at your door
Yeah.
to be a patient. So I think that a lot of times that can be a misconception. Not that it's not doable, but I think that you need to almost prepare yourself mentally for that.
You got to
Of
position your life in a way where you're ready for that, right? Like you got to lock in, man. Like think about anything that you've ever done that's good, that's great. Anybody like learn how to play an instrument, learn how to whatever. Like it takes a
yeah,
lot of work, and there are so many skills to learn, so
and
many, and there are the guess what? The to-do list doesn't end,
mm-mm.
and the problem list never ends. It only gets bigger, and each problem gets scarier, and it costs more money. And so, you got to want it, and you got to be really ready to like focus. You know what I mean?
Especially
But
those
if you're
tough days too. Like, to
totally,
get
totally,
through them, you got to have your reason. I'm big on having the reason why. Like I have a note in front of my, every time I get in my office, it tells me like very briefly, like what's my goal, what's my purpose, why am I doing this? So then on those really crappy days when everyone's saying no and the person you thought was going to become a client or, you know, the business that you thought you were going to start is not going as quickly as you thought, you're able to get through them, getting through those tough days. And I remember yesterday I was having a conversation with a clinician and he just opened his own shop and he had actually made his first hire. And one of the things he said to me is
nice.
like, I'm capable of doing it myself, right? I can get my own patients. I have my network, but I'm worried about the person that I just hired that's now relying on me for
Mm,
these. How am I going to create business for them? Because I don't want them to feel like this is a failure, right? And I think a lot of times as a business owner, there's a transition you need to make of I used to show up to that clinic of the person that did what I'm doing now 30 years ago or 20 years ago or 15 years ago and built up a business. The patient flow was there, right? I joined an existing clinic, but the one that I'm joining now and starting, I'm now the person responsible for the employees and the patients that are showing up and filling the booking and the calendar and that type of stuff, along with the bookkeeping and the marketing and
yeah.
the compliance and getting reimbursed and insurance, all that fun stuff. It's like you are now judge, jury, executioner of your own business. And I feel like a lot of people maybe are not as prepared for that. Or maybe they're not that they're not prepared, but they don't realize how much it can be initially, right? And I think that my question to you is when you did that, when did you feel like, all right, I need to figure out how to not do everything at once
Mm,
and do everything myself? Because I feel like even that lifestyle practice, especially in this space, can become more like that's your life, right? I feel like it's very hard to build that when it's just you. You know what I mean? Could be
yeah.
wrong. I haven't seen that of being like, usually people are like, I need to hire, I need to find someone, I need to find a front desk person, and to find something that can just offload that weight. I'll still treat, but for you, I guess, what was that like moment where maybe it was the coaching or maybe it was after that where you're like, all right, I can't do this all myself if I want to have family time, if I want
Yeah,
to actually
for
take
sure.
vacations and enjoy the life and the wealth that I'm creating.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you?
So I think that's something that you continue to get better at. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's like you don't just flip a switch one day and you're like, oh, now I have work-life balance. You know what I mean? It's like you're
I
constantly,
think that's BS, by the way.
you're right. Well, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, no, I know.
here's how it works. Well, here's how it worked for me. Um, in the beginning, your job is to get busy, get your clinic busy, get some
Hmm.
patients in the door, treat some patients, get some testimonials, right? That's it. That's the only thing that matters. There's only one thing that's going to bankrupt you. It's not having enough patients to treat,
Hmm.
right? So nothing else, everything else, there other things that are important? Yes, but not as important as that.
Hmm.
But once you figure that out, your schedule gets full. And then you have a little bit of money, but you have no time. So in the beginning, you have no money, but you have time,
Oh, that
right? And
flips.
then your assets switch where you have a little money, but you have no time,
Hmm.
right? So at that point, it's like, congratulations, you figured that out. Now there's a new monster and it's called get organized, right? Like get your systems, your policies and procedures in place. Spend some of your money to invest back into your time and build a team to start
Hmm.
getting things off your plate. So that's the next monster to beat. And it's honestly, it's the hardest stage of business. It's the hardest stage of business, and it's where everyone gets stuck
Yep.
because it's just really hard. I don't remember how exactly like what light bulb went off for me that helped me get through that. I think it still took a lot of work, but as I look back, I can extract the lessons.
Hmm.
Here are the lessons that I learned. Number one, here's another liner for you. You ready?
Go for it. Let's do it.
James Wedmore. You ever heard of James Wedmore?
I haven't. No.
He's a really cool dude. Listen, check him out. I don't know him, but he's got a podcast called Mind Your Business Podcast.
Okay.
And really cool guy. He said, if you value your money more than your time, you'll have neither. But if you value your time more than your money, you'll have an abundance of both.
Hmm.
So in the beginning, we're so money hungry. We're starving for money because we just want new patients because we have
Yep.
none.
Yeah.
Then we hold on to that strategy forever and it keeps us stuck. So what we have to do is switch to this place where it's like money is not the most important thing anymore.
Hmm.
Actually, it's my time. And I have to convince myself that my time is more valuable than the little bit of money I've got right now. So it's like, and look what you did with your time. In the beginning, you had nothing but time. You knocked on doors, you hustled, you made phone
Yep.
calls, and you filled your schedule up. And then you're like, okay, now I'm done. No, you're not done. You have to take all of the low energy activity that's on your plate and delegate it,
Yep.
get some more time, and get some more business in the door.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we get stuck in that spot. Um, but whenever you can start saying, you know what, like the time that I have on my schedule is more important than the money I have in my bank, that is going to be the transition that people need to have. Got to value your
Absolutely.
time, right?
Absolutely. It becomes more important too, because, you didn't build this business. And most people, and I know my reason for building a business is not to be consumed by it every day for the next 25 years. It's to, work hard when I'm younger and I can and I have more time, right? The money will follow. And then at some point being able to delegate a lot of things so that, that hard work that I did initially has translated into I can take a 2 week vacation when I want to. My business doesn't
Totally.
fall apart. I can do the things that I dreamed about doing, have the house that I wanted, have the social life that I wanted. But I had to sacrifice those things initially in the beginning because I had to
You
do
have
everything.
to.
And I feel like the mistakes that some people will make is they're doing what they were doing in the beginning, just at a bigger scale, right? They're treating more patients, they have more compliance headaches, they have more
Correct.
insurance issues instead of
Correct.
taking that leap of faith maybe year two, right? There's a breaking point where it's like you don't want to do it too early, right? Because if you
Sure.
don't have enough patience, it's like
You
don't
make
hire someone.
a calculated
Yeah,
risk,
I think so.
right?
Yeah,
There'll be some formulas that you use, and we
yeah,
can help you with that. Like make sure you have some
absolutely.
cash reserves, but like at some point you gotta put your money where your mouth is. You want to grow a business
Correct.
or not? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like let's go.
let's go.
Right.
Exactly. But the next thing that I see a lot of is, and it's kind of a cliche, maybe like one of those one-liners, but a lot of people are working, in the business, not on the business, especially clinicians, right? Because you go through so much schooling, your identity is like, I treat people musculoskeletal issues, I treat them to get better, right?
Mhm.
And there's not much business coaching and education in the school system and the education system becoming a PT or an OT or a doctor, right? And I think that's a tough mindset shift to make of, wait, I have to run this thing, but I don't actually treat, right? And not that you can't treat, because I know successful clinic owners that treat maybe once a week just because they love it, right? But they don't have to in order for the business to operate. And what's been your experience now that you've been coaching a lot of people in this space of what separates the ones that are able to work on the business versus the ones that are working in the business? And what are their growth trajectories? Like, what have you seen in your experience?
Yeah. So that's a great question. And one of the first challenges, here's the success criteria. Number one, block out time during the week to work on your business.
Hmm.
That's that's like step one.
Yeah.
Go to your calendar, pick a day, pick 4 hours, or maybe it's two-hour blocks of time, whatever. Maybe it's a full day, whatever it depending on how much time you can invest. And that time is called CEO time. And during that time, the phones are off, the emails are off. You are unavailable. There are, and the reminder that we have to give ourselves is there are no emergencies. There's nothing that can't wait half a day. And if
Hmm.
is there an emergency, call 911 and not me.
Yeah.
Right. And so, no, we have to get to a place where we're going to decide that that is the most important thing that I can do for my business. And we have to have the courage to give ourselves permission to do that and let those like push those things in the corner so that I can work on my business. That's it. That's so important. So important. The other challenge, the next challenge is what do I do during my time? What
Yeah,
do I
you could
do?
block it off, but what are you actually
What
doing,
do you
right?
do? What do you do? This is where this is called strategy, right? Strategy is just another fancy word for prioritization. Like, what am I going to prioritize during that time?
Mhm.
And, obviously there's ways that we can do that, but really the question that I like to ask myself is, what am I building? What am I building? Because your job as the CEO is to build something
Mhm.
meaningful. There's a difference between checking boxes and building something, right? So like if during that time you're finishing up documentation, answering emails, paying bills, returning phone calls, that's not building anything. That's
Yeah.
busy work.
Yeah.
Building things is like building out a marketing strategy, building out some Facebook ads, building out a sales process inside my practice, building out my interview process for my new hire, right? Those are things that you're building. That's working
Yeah.
on the business. So that's really uh that's really where we have to kind of get owners. And here's the cool thing, when you commit to doing that kind of work, that you learn all the lessons on how to be a CEO during that time. You learn how to be good at being a CEO during that time.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, just like I tell everybody who's considering joining our program, you will be amazed at how fast you can make progress if you just give yourself a little time and actually work on the things that matter in your business. Like you would be amazed. Is it going to happen overnight? No,
No.
but you'll be blown away at what you can do in 6 months if you
Yeah.
just like commit to it, you know?
I've seen it in my own life too, of like I have time blocks for myself for, how am I going to get new clients? I have to market, right? When am I going to do that? Well, I'm not meeting with clients, which is the biggest ROI that I can do is meet with existing clients or new clients. But all right, how do I make sure that I'm not like answering emails or changing people's addresses on their accounts? Like all that little stuff that can be delegated. Um, applies to everywhere in business. It's just a different type of business, right? It doesn't matter what it is, right? If you're selling widgets or you're helping people get better and get back to the life they love, I feel like it's the same thing. And they need to, like you said, block off that time. You need to almost like force yourself, like that's an appointment or that's a patient, right? You have a 2 hour block and the patient is you and your business.
It's better, it's more important than your
So
patient.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Because
it's
if
without that, your patients lose.
yeah,
You
they
know what
do.
I mean? Like it's and we have to it doesn't feel like it's important at times. Just like the same reason why like I had felt so scared about hiring this coach. Like, why would I hire a coach? That's a bad idea. Well, it's
Yeah.
like the life is full of bad advice, people. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so like everything in your body in the beginning is gonna say like you need to keep thinking like an employee and keep
Hmm.
treating patients because that's what that's the lie you've been told forever. So it's not gonna feel natural, right? But if you want to do something extraordinary, you have to do something different, you know?
Yeah.
So you almost have to kind of brainwash yourself in being like, no, this is important. This is the work. This is what I want. This is aligned with my values. This is aligned with my vision.
Yeah,
No, I'm not going to answer the call. No, I'm not going to, right? And so there's some discipline that we have to develop there,
absolutely. Yeah, and I feel
you
like
know?
it, it's so true, especially with owners in that space. I've seen it, the ones that are doing good and the ones that are not. And I feel like one thing that I see a lot of that kind of ties into a little bit of the planning and, financial side of things, right? Because ultimately you're building a business for a reason, whether it's to create wealth for your family or to create some freedom so that you can spend more time with your kids down the road. But at some point, I think every clinic owner is thinking like, all right, when I'm kind of time to hang up the cleats and it's time to sell, time to get out of the business, whether it's selling to private equity or selling to maybe another employee that's been with you for 15 years that's eventually going to take over. Um, a lot of times the owners that are the ones that focus on, all right, it might cost me a little more upfront to
Yeah,
remove myself from the business because I have to pay people and there's
sure.
not that immediate ROI. But a lot of times if we can get them to think big picture, what's going to happen when you sell? You
Hmm.
are out of the business regardless. If you want to be, right? If they're going to keep you on, you didn't really sell anything. You just maybe got a little bit of influx of money, but your time is still getting taken up because you're still then now an employee. You almost did like that circle, right? You built something and then you became an employee again, and maybe you're just getting paid a little more, right? But the ones that actually end up selling and can ride off into the sunset and say, I built something valuable and I was able to translate it into wealth for my family are the ones that said, I need to delegate. I need to get out of the business. I need to not be not the bottleneck, but the person that's so valuable that if I'm not around,
Whole
the
100% you're the
business is
bottleneck.
worth nothing. Yeah, I guess that is a good point. You are the
It,
bottleneck until you get out of the way.
the longer you hold on,
Yep.
the bigger that you become the bottleneck. The
Yeah.
more that you become the problem. The longer you hold on, the more that you become the
I
problem.
feel like it's hard because those patients, it's like dopamine hits, right? Patient comes in, I get paid. And it's like, well, if
Totally.
I'm doing something that's not treating a patient, I'm not seeing the rewards for maybe 6, 7
Totally.
months. But you need to have that long-term vision to know that, yes, but for my $50 or $100 a patient for the hour, that can turn into $20,000 in 2 years if I just take some time to spend on the business and growing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just not tangible in the moment, which is hard because as humans, our ancient brains are wired for food
Totally.
immediately, kill
It's fear.
animal.
It's fear. It's a lot
Yeah,
of fear, right?
yeah,
Carl Jung says, wherever your fear is, there's your task. It's one of my
yeah.
favorite lines.
Oh, I love that.
It's my headshot or my cover photo on my Facebook page. It's like my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Are you an Alex Hormozy guy?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So I love when he talks about delayed gratification.
Hmm.
So like what we're talking about is delayed gratification. He's like one of the superpowers in business is your ability to exercise delayed gratification. And if you can delay in gratification, how do we get gratified? Income, patients say that we're cool, we get another referral, somebody,
Yep.
all the things that make us feel good and that make us feel appreciated, right? But like
Yeah.
if we can delay that for 6 months, we might be able to build a business. If we can
Hmm.
delay it for a year, we might be able to really build a really cool business. If we could delay it for 10 years, we could change the world. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's like you mentioned, like don't focus on building, making money. Focus on building your business and focus on learning.
Hmm.
And then you're going to make a ton of money. You know what I mean? Like the other thing that Alex Hormozy says is in the beginning, your job isn't to earn, it's to learn. Right. So
Hmm.
just focus on learning. Focus on just listen. I don't claim to be the smartest person in the room, but I listen to a lot of people who are really a lot smarter than me, like Alex Hormozy. And every person that I've ever talked to about business, ever, has always told me you need to delegate. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not a secret, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not up for debate at this point.
Yeah.
So just trust that. You know what I mean? Like just stop trying to convince yourself that there's another story that exists because it doesn't. You know what I mean? And like do whatever you have to do to just like follow those rules and you're probably going to turn out just fine. But most
Yeah.
people let the fear and the I need it now and they get distracted. That's really the main things that cripple the business.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because you're so focused on the short term that, you're just
Correct.
in that cycle perpetually instead of like, all right, I got to shed that stuff to grow, right? I got to shed the shell or the skin to grow, and it's going to be painful. It's going to be hard. It's going to feel like I'm doing nothing or maybe taking two steps back. But I mean, I think a good exercise, and it's silly, but I just kind of thought of this now is like if you're thinking about opening a clinic, go walk into the 10 or 15 in your area that you think are successful and you can clearly tell they're growing. See if they have people doing things for them. Is there a front desk person? Ask if the owner's there.
Right.
I think that's a good exercise. Like, hey, is your owner here? Oh no, he's not. He's actually, he's only here 1 day a week or so. Oh, okay. Maybe try to get in contact with the owner and say like, hey, I'm looking to start a clinic. Like, or I started one and I have like one employee, but I'm really scared. Like, people are pretty open to talking for the most part, I'd say. I've even gone as far as paying them for their time and saying, hey, listen, I'd love to
Sure.
pay you for.
Most people want to help, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because they remember themselves back in that situation and they'd say, like,
Totally.
I wish I
Totally.
had me now back then. But I feel like if you look at that, it's like, all right, well, every great clinic and practice that I see in my area has people and they've delegated. So what makes me believe that you know, can do it differently? Right? What makes me special, right? You're not that good. We only have so much time, right? So maybe that's the thing that gets you over the hump to say,
Yeah.
okay, it's time, right? And that's such like a silly exercise, but sometimes like little simple things are the ones that get it done instead of like this 17-step process to feel like you're never going to have
Totally.
the answer. You know what I mean? It's never going to be the perfect time. And if you wait for it, it's never going to happen. Same thing
Totally.
as investing, right? If you're going to wait for the perfect market to invest in or the best stock or the best company, like you're never going to invest and
Get
you're
in the
just going
game.
to, you just got to do it and get on the roller coaster, right? And I've seen that with a lot of younger people, clinicians specifically, that are like, they come to me and they say, I'm going to start something. And I'm like, okay, great. Like, first thing I say to them is like, I'm your money coach, but we need to find you a coach that actually knows how to build a business.
Hmm.
You need to find that person too. You need to learn from them. Find the smart people that have done it. Don't try to be the smartest person. I mean, Elon Musk, the guy's a super genius, obviously, but he says, I got people smarter than me. I got Harvard grads that work for me. I don't build the rockets. I just have the ideas.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
need to treat the patients. You just got to have the ideas to say, okay, I'm going to be this hub for people to come and rehab and get better. I'm going to be the person in this community that's going to be, when you get hurt or you need help, you think of me. You think of my company, what I
Hmm.
built.
Hmm.
Doesn't matter who's the person treating them. They just think of, okay, Adam's Clinic, I'm going there. Go see Adam's Clinic. Go see Adam's people. He's built something great. And I feel like if you can kind of have that vision for yourself, business wise, that can make you see, all right, I need to delegate now, right?
Yeah.
I need to
Yeah.
delegate because I'm never going to get there because then it's just going to be the one person shop,
Yeah.
and you maybe for someone that's great, but I don't know many people that long term desire that.
Well, you know, is it okay we stay on this topic for a little bit?
Hmm.
Because I think it's a really powerful topic. A lot of people get stuck here,
Yeah,
including
let's
myself,
go.
right?
Yeah.
So there's a few things. Okay, so if you're that clinic owner and you're trying to, maybe you've got a small team and you're buried in the weeds and and you know you need to delegate, but you're not really sure how. Like you don't have to just you're not gonna like walk out of the clinic next week. You know what I mean? Like you got to
Yeah.
start small,
Yeah.
right? Just like anything. It's like you got to put some training wheels on. And so, what is delegation? Here's what delegation is. Delegation is your ability to find another human and to help them see the vision that you have the way that you see it and can see the goal clearly the way that you see it. And they have a roadmap to getting there and they want to get there and they're motivated to get there and they do it well. That's what you're trying to create, right? That's leadership. That's a leadership thing. It's like how do I get people to do the thing when they don't know how to do it, right?
Yeah.
So there's some communication, there's some vision casting, there's some trust that you have to have. But you could start with like a virtual assistant. You know what I mean? Like maybe you could just start with like hire a virtual assistant for 10 hours a week and like delegate one freaking thing to them. Delegate like running some reports in your office or something like that, right? You don't have to like delegate the whole marketing system in your practice right out of the gate. And you will get better at that. But here's the mistake that we make. We think that, oh, well, maybe we don't think that, but our brain convinces us that like, well, I don't have a delegation problem. I just need more new patients. Once I have more new patients, then I'll make some more money and then I'll be able to afford to delegate. And it's like, No, dude, that's not the way it works. You delegate, get your time back, then you go make more money,
Yeah.
right? So delegation is the game. It is the work. Your ability to, what do you have to learn how to do? You got to learn how to communicate. You got to learn how to cast vision. You got to learn how to motivate. You got to learn how to be clear. You got to learn how to be set expectations and be bold, right? You got to learn how to trust. You got to learn how to let go. You got to learn how to let somebody fail. Like that is the game. When you get better at those skills, you will delegate better and then you'll grow your business. So stop worrying about trying to like go market and talk to physicians. Learn that skill. So your when you wake up and when you're trying to plan out like how do I be successful as an owner this week, it's not do more of the same thing. It's how can I how can I trust my virtual assistant a little more this week? How can I let go a little bit more this week? How can I not double check this week? Maybe just single check, right? And that is how you get better. And you walk down that path, and then eventually, a month later, you're like, man, this wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Maybe I'll give him some more hours and see if he can delegate some more things, right?
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
is the game. Like enjoy the process. That's the hard. It's the hard thing. And then once you do that, there's going to be another hard. So that's why I think that that's what I love about business is that it's such a personal journey. It's such a journey of you getting better at doing the thing that you don't want to do. And when you do that well, everyone wins. So
Yeah, because I think that the ones that can enjoy that journey more so than the end result end up getting to the end result, right? It's the people that want
yeah,
that end result so quickly and are not, you end up looking back and, I feel like everything that I've done in my life and achieved, and I'm sure you might feel the same, and people listening to this is like, yeah, you get that result, but then it's like, okay, now what? But then when you really look back, you're like, man, the journey was the best part, right? The struggles in the
who
gym and
you
the
became
long,
along the journey.
yeah, like those long hours that you spend in the gym as an athlete. And it always comes back to sports for me, but like that guy, the Division 1 was nice, but it's like, well, what about all those extra sessions you put in, those training sessions and those, hot summer days that you were training when no one wanted to and you were passing out from heating? Like those were the fun times when you look back. Business is the same way. You're going to look back on the day that you had no patients walk in the door that first day and think like, okay. And then that next day you got the first one, and then two, and then there was 10, right? But
Hmm.
then you're gonna look back and have that thriving clinic, and that's the vision you had the whole time. But you're like, well, the fun part was figuring out what I was gonna do to how to change my marketing, or the insurance. They dropped the insurance company, and I wasn't getting reimbursed as much, so I had to pivot a little bit and come up with a new system and a new strategy, or what I was gonna treat, right? Like those types of problems that you face, or I had that employee that completely effed me over and I thought was going to be great. But then
Yeah,
that led me to
totally.
the next one who was
Hmm.
even better than I could have thought.
Yep.
And now he's the one taking over the business 20 years down the line.
Mm.
But like, I feel like looking back or just thinking about like enjoying the process, which can be cliche, um, but it's so true, right?
So
Especially
true.
as a business owner, it's like you got into business to, number one, you got to have your why, I think. If you don't have your why, it's like you'll let the business fail in a year and it'll just fall apart because you're not really committed to it. It's like, oh
Not
yeah, this would be
committed.
nice, but you kind of went in thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna open a business and it's gonna be $2 million a year in revenue. It's like, nah, that's
Good luck.
not. Yeah, good luck, bud.
Yeah.
Maybe there's one person that did that and that's an anomaly, but the other 99 people that built something great, they had to struggle and they had to work. And I feel like, you're working with these people every day. Like that's probably what you've been seeing. And I know that's what I've been seeing from the owners is, the ones that get there are the ones that said, I put my head down and grinded for 10, 15, 20 years. And then I built it. But it's very hard as humans, I think, to look long term and think like, wow, it takes that much freaking work.
It takes so much work. It takes so much work. I still underestimate the amount of work it takes. And
I
I'm
feel like
not, I
it's
mean,
human
I'm not
nature. Yeah.
like we want the shortcut,
Yeah.
right? It's like it doesn't exist,
No.
unfortunately. And that's a good thing because if it did, going back to Alex Ramosi,
Yeah.
the reason why it's hard is the reason why most people will quit.
Yeah.
So it's never really been easier to win. So because all you got to do is just be willing to do the hard stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's just do it anyway. Just do the hard thing. You know?
When you have that moment of like, I don't want to do it, if you can train your brain to say, that's exactly what I need to do.
Yeah.
Right? Like almost like reverse psychology, like trick your brain and think like, oh, this sucks. And it's like, yeah, I know that's why you have to do it. Right?
Yeah.
It's like that,
Totally.
you're training for a marathon, and you're like, ah, dude, I got to do 18 freaking miles today. It's like, yeah, but you want to do the sub 3 hour. Like that's what you have to do. Most people would just say, I can run 12 and be
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
It's like
For
that's
sure.
the moment where you have to flip that switch and say, no, 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 this is exactly where most people stop. And then if you can just do it, boom, you just repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. Find that moment when the brain says, and then just go. Right. I feel like that's like the biggest lesson that I've seen in my life and running a business and business owners is the ones that are able to just flip that switch and say, nope, just do it anyway. Like
Yeah.
they might not have the best clinicians working for them, the Columbia grads, the Duke grads, or whatever, but they got the people that they're able to just say, nope, we're going to do the hard stuff. Nope, we're going to do this. Nope, we're going to pivot.
Yep.
We're going to take chances. Like we're just going to do it versus the person that sits there and says, I need it to be perfect every time and easy. They're the ones that end up failing, you
Man,
know?
you'd be amazed at how like we had a group coaching call a couple weeks ago, and one of our clients was like, "Well, I want to hire a clinician, but I got to get my onboarding process built out, and I got to like get my all my policies. My policies aren't up to speed yet." And I was like, "Newsflash, girl, mine aren't either.
Yeah.
Like they're never up to speed.
It's just an
Get a
excuse we
job
tell
that out."
ourselves
You know
to
what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
You don't even have someone that's willing to work for you. Like get there first.
yeah, get a job ad out. You know what I mean? So I and this isn't easy. I still struggle with this, especially when you're growing up, like when you're doing new things, like you're going places you've never been before. You're going to approach problems and challenges that, man, I wish that wouldn't have happened. Didn't
Mm,
realize there was a speed bump there. Blew out my
yeah.
tire. You know what I mean? But like, if we can be okay with that, like especially with my team now, like whenever we're doing things, like if we're recruiting for a therapist or if we're building on a new marketing strategy, things are going to mess up. The website might get shut down. You know what I mean? Like things are going to mess up. And when they do mess up, I do feel like, oh, like I feel this urge to jump in and fix things. And it's sometimes it is hard, but if I can just allow myself and my team to like move through those challenges, we learn so much from that, you know? So it's not about get it right and then take action. It's take action, get it wrong, and then coming back to what you said, debrief the experience,
Yeah.
extract the lessons, learn, get a little bit better, try it again, do it a little bit better, but still get it wrong.
Yeah.
Come back, fix it, make it a little bit better, then hit it on the third one. And
Yeah.
by the and then and that might take me a month, but a month later, I've got 3 repetitions with much more skill set and a finished product, and you're still thinking about building out your policies and procedures, right? I'm gonna
Yeah.
crush you. I'm gonna
Yeah.
crush you. You know what I mean? So the the market doesn't reward perfection. It rewards people who are willing to take action without knowing all the answers.
Yeah. The mistake's only an issue if you don't learn from it, right? It's like
Correct.
I feel like the best people in business embrace them, right? They say, no, I'm gonna screw this up, but the only way I learn is like I'm not
I'm
gonna.
gonna screw it up.
It's like the person that sits there and reads 1,500 self-help books and never actually does anything. It's like, yeah, they're great and all, but if you just sit there and read, like that doesn't actually do anything. It's the person that says, all right, gets to page 3 and says, you know what, screw it, I'm going for a run, or screw it, I'm just gonna eat one good meal right now. I'm gonna
Yeah.
put the candy away. I'm gonna put the junk food away. I'm gonna eat one good meal. It's like those baby steps of like, all right, I failed, but let's get back on. Let's go again. Boom, boom. And eventually it's like, yeah, you get to that point, but everyone wants that end result and sees it because it's like, in the social media world, and I feel like it's very easy to see what other people are doing. We look at that and say, oh, like that clinic's got
It's
100,000
tough.
followers on Instagram and like I can
Yeah, for
do
sure.
that. And then you start doing it and you realize like, wow, I only got 100 followers in 2 months. Like, this
Yeah.
is kind of
Totally.
hard. Yeah. And then
It's
they give up,
tough.
right? And then they give
Totally
up, but
tough.
it's the one that's willing to, I experience that myself too with, I'm very active
100%.
on LinkedIn, and, I look at the people
100%.
that have 30,000 followers in my industry, and I'm like, oh, I can do that.
How do they do that?
It's crazy. But then you're like, no, they just put in a heck of a lot more work than me and more time in the seat. And they're
Maybe
probably better
worth
at,
it.
Hormozy, like they're just better than you. But figure out how
They're
to be
just
better,
better
right?
than
They're
you.
just better than you at something, and you need to figure out how to get better yourself. Like, it's not that they're privileged or they're given everything and all that. Like, there's a certain point where it's like, no, they're just better. And if you can look at that and say, well, if they can do it, I can. I just got to get better. I think that's a good thing for an owner to see is like, okay, I might not be the regional powerhouse like a Jag or ATI or whatever it is, but there's nothing stopping me from getting there. I just got to put in the freaking work, man. Like, it's not
Yeah.
easy. It's not easy. And I think that
Follow the
that's a
plan,
tough
man.
thing. And I think that's a tough thing though for people to, because it's not against, it goes kind of against our DNA and human nature of we want things simple. We want it easy. We want the shortcut, right? That's how we survived as humans over all these years. Is like find the easy way, find the simpler way, save energy, but it's the exact opposite of what you need to do. Um, but yeah, it's fun to watch them grow for sure. And I'm sure you see the same thing when you're coaching them of
Totally.
like the ones that get it, they just get it. You know what I mean? That there's
Yeah.
something in them. And I guess my last question to you is like, what separates the ones you can kind of summarize it maybe, I don't know, like a couple sentences, like the ones that you
Sure.
see that get it versus don't in business as an owner and in physical therapy specifically, like what do you see that they have when you get sit on that first coaching call? What is it you're like, no, this guy's going to be good, or like they're going to take a lot of work, we got to change them? Like what is the one thing, I guess, if you had to pinpoint it, that you see?
I think that the first thing that stands out is they have vision. So I get on calls with owners and they're like, could you help me with your business? And I'm like, what are your goals? And if they say something like, I'd love to like get some new patients in the door. Go listen to the podcast. We did about 50 episodes on marketing and then just
Yeah,
get into, you know what I mean? But the ones that are like, man, I would love to open like 5 or 6 clinics. When they have that like and they're like willing to say it out loud, that
yeah.
tells me like they want something big and they're really motivated, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know what that's called, but like it's the ones that have vision that that do really well. I think the other characteristic that comes to mind is they take ownership. A lot of times we can point fingers and be like, "Oh, the reason why I'm not as successful is because therapists want too much money or reimbursement's too low." They like blame these external variables.
It's easy.
And instead of saying like, "No, the reason why I'm not there is because I'm not good enough yet, and it's on me and I need to get better." It's my lack of skills and it's my lack of leadership and it's my lack of my ability to execute that's holding us back right now. When they take full ownership, it's like game changer. Like they just pour into themselves, they prioritize their time, they get better, they learn, they practice, they go to the gym, you know what I mean? They do all the
Yeah,
things because they know it's on them and then they have that vision. I'd say those are the two things that kind of stand out for me.
I love it. It's ownership and vision. Those are the two.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's a great spot for us to kind of just recap everything. So, if anyone wants to, if they're watching this and they're thinking like, okay, I'm the bottleneck or I'm stuck, what is the first step for them to maybe not start working with you, but where would you
Totally.
direct them, right? Where should they go to start getting into your world essentially?
If you want to get into my world, the best thing to do is check out our podcast. Our podcast, you can go to the Private Practice Owners Club podcast wherever you like to listen. I would say, man, there's so much value in that podcast. It's free, like industry leading experts. If you go to our website, ppoclub.com, and go to the podcast tab, you can actually search all the episodes by category. So if you want to learn about marketing, sales, recruiting, I'd say, and just consume, man, consume that information is probably the best place to go. If you check out the show notes, we've built an owner's manual. I'll send you the link to the owner's manual,
Perfect.
and it's a free. It comes with. It basically follows the exact framework that we use, our CEO Accelerator framework, in our paid program, but it's completely free. It's kind of a dumbed down version. It comes with a few YouTube videos. I would say consume that. and join our Facebook group, Private Practice Owners Club Facebook group. And you have any questions, shoot me a DM or pop it in the group and we'll answer it for you.
Great, brother. Awesome. Ton of value, my man. It was great talking with you. And obviously we'll keep in touch over the next couple
Totally, man.
months. But
I'll see you
this was
soon.
fun. This was fun. All right.
All right, brother. Peace out.